Good morning. If there's anybody out there, I hope you're all well and good. Let me close my door before I'm in trouble. Be right back. You up there? Babe? Okay, I'm shutting the door. Hope you don't need to go out for a little bit. Good morning, Brenda Pruitt. Good morning, Uncas.
Morning, bro.
How?
What's going on?
Well, not much yet. Just getting things started now. Here I go. Good morning, Miss Carol.
Miss Brenda's on there.
Carol's somewhere out there. She said she'll join chat shortly. She must be in transit.
Everybody heard you yell for somebody.
I yelled. Oh, I forgot I had the microphone on. I yelled upstairs at her to see if she was online.
But the only person that was on was Carol, so.
Okay, well, then nobody else heard it. In case I got the wrong impression. How are you this fine morning?
Just Jim Dandy. Watching her snow again. Just
all toasty and warm.
I'm just so happy I could just defecate.
I was wondering how you were going to end that.
Well, I scienced it up.
You did. You scienced it right up. Good morning, Mike Cabral. How are you, sir?
How's Canada?
He's probably colder than you are.
It's just one here. We're above zero.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
You quit snowing and get
just like I said, I'm just so happy. My wife left the house yesterday to go take care of grandbabies in Cameron, and
she's still gone.
Yeah, she'll be gone all weekend, and as she walked out the door, she slipped and dropped a parcel she was carrying, and I heard her yell, "Why can't anything ever be easy anymore?" So yeah, we're tired of winter.
So you're batching it, huh?
Heck, it's March, for crying out loud.
Well, it is. That's true.
I sent David Stanley some Siberia photos, and he said the ramps are peeking their heads up through the leaves, and they got flowers blooming up there in West Virginia.
We have had here, Brenda's daffodils have already bloomed and probably gone. And there's all kind. I'm afraid the trees are going to start popping out, and they may already be, but some of them. But that's bad. If the oaks pop out now, I'm afraid they'll get frosted on. Nuts will be hard to find come fall. If it happens, it may not. I mean, it may just hit. It may just stay warm all through the spring now. I mean, technically, it's only 18 days away or so anyway. Mike says snow is starting to melt around here, but not fast enough. How warm are you, Mike? I might have lied. He may be warmer than you are.
Well, I think we talked about last week that because Mike said that Canada doesn't do any refunds. We had written a letter, wrote a letter to Canada and said, "Come get your weather."
Yeah, they don't do takebacks.
And it's funny because my brothers on the eastern half of the state are sending me pictures of like grass and dirt and it's 45 degrees and You know,
really, they're that much warmer, and
I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. Oh yeah, they're way warmer than. Well, they're a lot lower than we are to begin with, and
I
we're
didn't
just
think they were
not.
that much lower.
We're just not going to. Well, the guys in Casper and Sheridan are significantly lower than we are, and we're just they have a no return policy, and
They don't apologize either. You Canadians are supposed to apologize about everything, Mike, because you're supposed to be.
You're nice people.
Yeah,
we know you're nice people.
So you might fool some of the people some of the time about that, but we think we know better.
We're just yeah. Anyway, it's. I don't think we've lost a single flake since December.
Well, you haven't been hardly warm enough to lose a single flake since then.
No. I literally have, so I had to have the.
You see what Mike says? Mike says we're changing that. We're going to become jerks. I think that'd have to be.
That is our role in the world.
That's right.
You can't have it, Mike. That's our role.
We've already taken that spot, Mike. Hey, Francisco, and hi, Dean. Good morning. You're up and about early. Well, not early, but
yeah, I had to have the neighbor come plow us out so I could get the propane truck in.
Did they get down? Did they get in there?
They got in there, and I've got piles of snow now that are probably 12 to 15 feet tall.
Wow.
Alongside my south driveway. So I'm just ecstatic. This is the worst that I've got old guys that are telling me this is an awful lot like 48, 49.
That was supposed to be the really bad ones, wasn't it?
Well, we have like that they're plowing out in the gas fields where where the guys have got to get out to the gas pads to service pads or wells or whatever. And they literally look like those pictures, those photos from the 49 blizzard. They've got 15-foot walls of snow alongside the 2-track roads that they've plowed out, and a bunch of those guys sent a bunch of equipment out to plow roads and stuck. Some of the biggest, baddest plows on the planet. They stuck 6 of them.
Wow.
And right in a row. They went to get. They stuck one. They went to get it and stuck that one too, and it just kept going until they got up to 6. And I think they finally got them out of there. But it's a killer.
Dean says he's up and got several things to get done today, but none of them are going to get done. You sound like me, Dean. The city was going to start collecting all the down branches from last week's ice storm, but now the piles are all covered in snow. How much snow did you guys get, Carol? And I think Mike sent you something about there he is.
Temperature's going to get up to 0 today.
He said you might start a business selling ice cubes. I was watching this morning on the news, and they were talking about how in California they've got so much snow in some of those areas where they hardly ever get snow or don't get a lot, that there are people up there trapped and can't get out. They've got no, and they're running out of they talked about running out of propane, and I don't know if they've got electricity or not, but they got a lot of snow over there too. So you can get it all. You got a lot of it, but you can get it all.
I can't think of a better place to send a bunch of snow, personally.
California.
Yeah.
You'll share with them anytime, huh?
Yeah.
Mike says it's going to be 0 today. No wind and sunny. That'll be a nice day, Mike.
And melting.
That's 32 to me and you, or me and Mark, and that's pleasant weather.
Oh, that's right. He does that metric system.
He does that metric system, so he's got 0 to him is not the same as 0 to us. Don't get even till we both get down to 40 below. I hear Boudreaux Campbell.
You do hear Boudreaux. He and Hank are wrestling.
Hey, John, welcome in, buddy.
They got fed, so they're happy now, and they're
feisty.
They got full bellies, and they're wrestling in the dining room here. So
let's see if I can do this. I don't know if I can do this or not. How much cable I got? But look at this hard-working fella. He's
after it this morning, ain't he?
Had breakfast too, so it's first naps. And right after first naps comes second snack or second breakfast, and then after that comes second naps. So he's got it covered. Well, now I'll have to fix my camera again. Oh well, it'll be all right for now, I think.
It's good.
I gotta fix my. I don't know if this new camera's so wide. I'm gonna have to pull my flags up closer or figure out if I can spread them out wider. But
if you bump it to the right just a little bit, you'll be perfect frame.
Yeah, I'd be good, but I didn't get that done this morning, so I got it close enough. How's the weather in your part of the world, John? Dean, how much snow did you guys get?
Morning, John.
I say that and I laugh. I saw in California, Disneyland, which is down, by LA, Anaheim. They actually had snow falling a couple of days ago, real snow, not made up snow.
So my daughter lives in El Paso, right on the edge she lives in North El Paso, right just south of the New Mexico line and by Fort Bliss. And she sent me a picture yesterday. She's got these 2 moose carvings in her backyard, and they had maybe, I don't know, 1/8 of an inch of snow. And she said, "Look, we've got moose and snow in the yard too."
That don't count. Cloudy and very windy, 30 to 40 mile per hour. Well, let me tell you what we had. We've had that same kind of. Brenda's talking aquarium there, by the way. Herbie's checking out the pretty shell. Maybe he don't like the one. She gets excited. Herbie's her big crab, and he's been changing shells again. He's getting to be monster size, and he keeps going up in shells. And she gets all excited because he's, getting bigger and bigger. He's got a.
So he's molting.
He has. He's got a dominant claw that's about the size of a catcher's mitt.
I can still remember you calling after we took that trip to New Mexico, and you called and you said, you had that tarantula, and you said, "I've got 2 of them now." And he had he had shed his exoskeleton or whatever you call that on a spider. And
that was really cool too. I've showed that.
Like
I think
his claws and his fangs and everything looked
I didn't realize they would shed their fangs like that.
Looked like a hawk claw.
Yeah. Dean says it's sunny and warm down there, upper 80s.
Upper 80s.
Yeah, that's just showing off.
That's not serious. That's not legitimate human living weather anyway. Upper 80s. That's too hot.
Yeah, it comes with a nice dose of humidity. John says they've had 1 inch of snow all winter. I know you guys.
Wow, you're probably going to be droughty.
Well, New York City,
it's raining.
New York hadn't had any snow all year till the other day, I don't think. And they're like you, John. They just barely got enough. They usually get snow in December, I think. They still hadn't had any. Well, they got some out of this last. I tell you what, a couple of nights ago, it came through here like a freight train. I looked out back, and I'm surprised half the trees back there aren't down. In fact, no, I got a pine back there that's leaning already. I'm surprised it's not down. But I went out last night to pick up something to eat, and I went up the hill here, and there's several trees blown over in the neighborhood. It was just really hard straight line stuff. I mean, and it was really huffing and puffing too. It came roaring through here. I don't know officially what the high was, but it was the gusts were, I would bet, 50 to 60 miles an hour.
So is that a derecho?
I don't know. Maybe.
I never heard that term till the last couple years. But
yeah, that's a new. I think that's new, or they just rediscovered it. Because I've heard that too, but I can't remember right now what causes that.
A couple of those like went right across mom and dad's place and knocked all kind of trees down, and my cousin was telling me about it, and I'm like, well, what the heck's a derecho? And I'd never heard the term before, and so
no, I hadn't either. Sometime last winter, I think, is the first time I'd ever heard that. John says salt air and ocean water temps here keeps it a bit warm. So mostly rain along the coast anyway. I guess that's probably pretty normal for you, though, isn't it, John? I mean, to not have a lot of snow.
Makes for good fishing.
Yeah.
He's probably got white sharks right off the shore there.
Oh, probably. They're probably there now.
I mean, that population keeps increasing along there, and I don't know if the shark population's increasing that much, but the seal population certainly has, and
that usually comes with it.
And then you get the big feeders coming to visit you when you get lots of seals. So
it's a little bit like filling up your bird feeder out back.
Yep. But they've had some big ones in that.
Yeah, they have.
New Jersey to Massachusetts kind of country.
I saw that documentary about that one called Jaws, and he was a huge one.
There's a really cool site that you can get on called OSearch, spelled like ocean with "erch" at the end, and they've got all these fish tagged all around the world, actually, all globally. They've got tons of white sharks tagged, and you can track them and where they go. And
I've seen that. I've actually looked at that at least once. They've got some other stuff. I think they've got some orcas pinned. Well, no, probably, but they've also got some like rods or a couple gray whales tagged that you can follow them around too.
Lots of turtles, sea turtles.
Yeah.
Tiger sharks and makos. Yeah, they started out just doing white sharks, and then they've branched out to various critters.
John, in your fishing adventures, have you ever seen a great white moseying around your boat or anything up there at any time? I think I've seen some hammerheads, and of course, pretty good sized bull sharks. When I lived in Florida, people pull in off the beach fishing. They'd pull in some decent ones, actually, bigger than I would have thought. Hang on a minute, guys. I'm going to keep talking, but I got to stand up. Bear with me. I just took 3 or 4 Tylenol and 2 muscle relaxers. You'd think I'd be
good to go.
Good to go. I've had 2 cups of coffee in me so far. So,
speaking of which, I'm gonna have to go get me another one. I got my favorite blend in today, Blackbeard's Delight.
Blackbeard's Delight, and that's Black Rifle.
Yeah. Yeah, it's my favorite.
Well, bring the bag over and let me read it to me. Tell me what it's got in it.
Well, hang on. I'll go get me a cup and bring the bag.
John says they've got. Yeah, we mostly get Mako, black tips, thresher, and some great whites here, but the main shark is the brown shark. Never seen a great white. Oh, that's interesting. Of course, I went years without seeing some of the stuff we got here. John, have you ever fed somebody? No, wait a minute. Have you ever fed somebody you don't like to a shark out there? John will not have to answer that should he choose not to. And if he does, we'll all deny it. Happy to report there are currently no sharks in the Great Lakes, or at least no tag sharks. That's good to know, Carol, because if they get into the Great Lakes, we're all in trouble. Mark Carol wanted everybody to know that she has looked out and there are no great whites in the Great Lakes. Or at least none that are tagged.
None that she can see.
And Mike's wanting to know if John had ever thrown anybody to the shark that he didn't like. John said they mostly get Makos, black tips, threshers, and some great whites, but the main shark they have up there is a brown shark.
Oh.
I'm not sure. I don't know much about. I don't know if that's called something else too, or.
There's my Kathy.
What? Okay, what does it say? It's got what kind of beans?
Blackbeard's Delight.
Well, I know that, but I got to know specifics. Like, is it got Arabica beans or New York beans? What kind of beans? Does it say?
Well, it ain't gonna say that.
Well, mine do.
It says it's a dark roast and it's a ground coffee.
Okay.
It's veteran owned.
I know that.
Hold on, it might tell me. It's got a robust flavor with just a hint of baker's chocolate. It's a wonderful coffee. I don't know if you can see that or not, but
close enough. Well, I just wondered what they.
And it's got a really cool picture of Blackbeard on the cover.
Well, that is good. That's worthy. John even agreed. He said Black Rifle's good coffee.
I like they've got two, that one, and there's another one that they do that comes in a kind of a tiger stripe Vietnam era camouflage, and it's got the Mac V SOG patch on it. Oops. And they don't have a name. I just call it SOG coffee, and those two are my favorites. And we have a subscription to them. I'd love them just to send me those two.
You can't ask for just those two?
Well, probably.
I mean, I get 5 pounds every 6 weeks or so, and I ask for, I can order what they make that my coffee people make that make really cool patches like this.
Well, Caribou coffee's got to be cool.
Carkey says now her Caribou coffee is seeming a little sad and lacking. No, Caribou would be okay. I mean, I don't know anything about it, and I got to brag a little bit. My Death Wish coffee has a lot of veteran participation too. I think they've got like a 50% veteran workforce now. I don't know the guys that own it. I don't know if they're vets or not, but they started out real small. Well,
these guys did too, and they're based in Salt Lake. The
Really?
headquarters is, but there's a great big Black Rifle. I don't know what you'd call it, a plant or whatever, where they
Roasting facility.
Roasting facility that's just south of you. I think it's probably about midway between Nashville and Knoxville, and then you go south, and it's down in that country somewhere.
That's got a blueberry hint to it, Carol. I saw that. I got a thing from them this morning, an email that said they were having their favorite dessert coffees on sale. They had blueberry, pumpkin spice, and gingerbread man, which I don't get a lot of flavored coffees, Brent. I can drink them if it's some special occasion and I'm just drinking it for that. But I don't, since I drink my coffees black and don't sweeten them or milk them down or anything. I don't tend to like flavored coffees much. So I just drink hard stuff. But hey, Phantasmic Chronicles, Tony, welcome in this morning.
Yeah, the only flavor I like in coffee is like Carollans or Bailey's.
Well, that works in my coffee too. And if you add just a little bit of that stuff I was pouring in mine a couple of weeks ago, which I emptied the bottle.
I don't want no pumpkin spice or
no
mocha latte, chino, whatever.
The thing about it, Mike, is if I drink that stuff and actually enjoy it, I've got to add, cream and sugar to it or something I don't know. To me, flavored coffee tends to, and Brenda's going to laugh or yell, because I think flavored coffee for me, it has a bitter taste or a twang to it that I don't like unless I calm it down. And that I don't have in my regular coffees. Mark, can you? Will Black Rifle send you whole beans if you want it?
I think so. I haven't.
I would hope that, but I would hope they would. I checked into something new recently. There's a cowboy coffee out there, and I think they're branded Frontier Days or something. And I've looked into that, and it doesn't have anything. They won't send you beans, and that's a big alarm for me right off the bat.
Well, cowboy coffee is just like MJB or Folgers or something that, and you dump the grounds on top of the water and boil the hell out of it.
Well, this is something new. It's it's rodeo coffee they're calling it, but it's.
Oh, I've seen that advertised. I can't remember what
I got cool bags in art too, but they'll send you is ground coffee, and I don't like to get ground. I like to grind my beans because stuff tends to get such stale if it comes ground. I just don't trust it.
There went America's symbol just flying right past my door, out my door.
An eagle?
Yeah, bald-headed eagle.
Damn, he's low to the ground.
Yep, he just comes zooming over the yard. I wonder what's out there that he's interested in. Probably something in my pasture.
Maybe you got ducks on the river down there.
Not unless they're standing on ice.
Well, I know, but I've seen eagles take.
Yeah, we've had a few geese still hanging about, which is amazing to me because there ain't no reason why they're not over at Salt Lake now. But
Brenda jumped in there now and wants to talk about puppy pictures. I don't know. I don't remember anybody saying puppy pics. Oh, they're asking. I bet they're asking Tony for puppy pics of his Basset. He's got a Basset puppy. I'll try to get some in the chat this evening. Oh, Mike, I bet Mike's asking because Mike's got Bassets and Tony just got a Basset puppy. Which chat will that be, Tony? You got your own chat or somebody else's? Because if you got puppy pics, Brenda might want to check that out. And Karki says she found this article comparing Black Rifle to Death Wish. My apologies if that causes the end of Tim and Mark's lifelong friendship. Oh, well, we'll have to check it out. Well, let's just see what that does.
It ain't gonna.
No, but that's why it's funny. Oh, the guy's name's funny.
What guy's name?
The guy that wrote the article, this is how his first name is spelled: Harshit. Coffee is an excellent source of energy and a popular drink. However, it can have many side effects. Oh, hell with the side effects. Here we compare the two most popular types of coffee. One which is good for you and the other which can be detrimental to your health. I know which one they're going to say, because Death Wish claims to have the highest caffeine rating, and they're going to say that's bad for you. Black Rifle main ingredient is caffeine, which is similar to the ingredient used by Death Wish. Death Wish company produces coffee with high caffeine content and a taste similar to espresso. So if you're looking for something to kickstart your morning, need a pick-me-up, Death Wish is a great option. However, Black Rifle uses much darker roast beans for its products. So if you're looking for a caffeine boost or want to try something new, then Black Rifle coffee may be the best for you. Well, I'll have to read that some more, but I'm not. Black Rifle is a veteran coffee company. And I got to say something about Death Wish because I've read about them having a lot of vets too. In addition, Black Rifle is one of the few companies that still used a brushed aluminum can instead of plastic packaging. Yours don't come in a can, does it? No,
mine comes in it's a full pack. And yeah, that's how you say full.
How'd you say it?
Full.
Full.
Just like oil. Change your oil.
Oh, that's right. We had that discussion just the other day.
We did. Southerners save syllables where we can, and we might add them in another place, like dog. That's a 2-syllable word.
No, evidently my coffee costs more than yours.
Well, I don't know any of that stuff.
Well, it don't matter. I'm not even going to read it no more. I'm not looking at it. So there, Carol, I'll look at that later. Tony says I'll be posting them in the mod chat this evening. In the mod chat. Oh, we probably won't see them then for in the mod chat. Brenda says nothing will ever break our friendship. So I'm glad Brenda thinks that.
Well, that's a fact.
Morning, Dave. Adventures by Dave D is in the room. Cat? What cat? Mike said, or Dave said something about cat. Maybe he meant Carol. Oh, he's wanting to know if Carol shoveled out. All right.
Where is Teddy? Your wife said.
He's right here.
He's right there beside you, ain't he?
Yeah, he's right here in his chair, but he's snoozing at the moment. If I wake him up right now, he's not going to hang around much. He won't be happy. If I wait and let him wake up himself in a few minutes, he'll stand up here and act all, proud like it was his idea or something. Dave, Danny did last night. Oh, yeah, Danny had to go out and shovel them out. Right, buddy? He's just saying, leave me alone. I'm sleeping. I showed him on camera a few minutes ago, Brenda. Okay, let me pull up some stuff here, or make my usual valid effort to do so. And it probably won't work again, but you know
what are we talking about today?
Well, I wanted to talk a little bit about bird cams or nest cams, wild animal cameras. What am I doing? Brenda said this is the best. Brenda thinks this is the best or funniest part of the show when I start trying to, pull up slides and such.
What are you doing, Mr. Campbell?
So I'm going to pull up first, and we'll talk about them. And then I've got some links to post in the chat, and a couple of them I've written to a couple of these companies already, or not companies really so much as just people that do people like Audubon or that do webcams for critters a lot. And okay, where did it go?
We're stacking.
I had my slideshow up and it went away. There. Well, why is it doing that? It should show up this time. Damn, I hate this new. I kind of hate this new thing.
Confuser?
I got here. Yeah, it's my confuser.
There it is.
It seems more complicated than it used to be. Let's put it that way.
I see a screech owl poking its head out a hole.
Yeah, Rufus phase.
Beautiful bird.
So that's why, I just wanted to talk about that. And while we're talking about it, you and I can discuss the values, maybe pros and cons of some of that from a wildlife management perspective.
Of webcams?
Yeah, well, being able to do things like observe hatchings and rare birds or count eggs, that sort of stuff is what I'll show you in a minute. Like in peregrine falcons, that was one of the ways they really help people get involved in protecting birds. Some of these birds, like peregrines, was by putting in webcams and getting people's interest of, when they would find a nest where there hadn't been any nests in a long, long time, like the one here in Knoxville, for example, that we had. I'll show some pictures of not that one, but similar in a minute. And they, it helped. I don't know. I feel like it helped gets people interested in those birds, understand the problem and the why we're fighting to bring them back. And now they are, and it's a much better world. Car Key says it always takes a while to get used to new technology. Well, that's true. And it might take me just a tiny bit longer than others, but I'm getting there. So anyway, that's what I wanted to talk about a little bit and show I've got some video links I'm going to put up. And like I said, a couple of them at least I'm going to promote a little bit. And I should have put this one last. I don't know why I put it in here first, but I couldn't resist these.
They're such a beautiful adult bird.
And they're such ugly chicks.
Man, their chicks are ugly.
Well, Brenda and I were discussing that.
And you can't use any other word than ugly.
And they're actually prettier in this picture than they were a few days before this picture.
Oh yeah, when they're brand new, they're really ugly.
They're just awful ugly. And
those are barn owls.
Those are barn owls, yeah. And
heart face. Some people call them heart faced owl.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, and they live all around the world.
Yeah, England's got a lot. There's a lot of webcams out of Great Britain where they show, they put in nest boxes and trying to encourage barn owls. But barn owls were on the decline badly for a while because they lost of habitat, as is always the case. Barns started disappearing in places that they like to roost in and nest. and hollows, of course, and trees because we cut down the trees. And their numbers were really declining, and they were really encouraging people to put in nest structures a few years ago. And
I think this species is the most widely distributed raptor on the planet.
Well, it may be, and in some places
they're in Africa, they're in Asia, they're in Europe, they're in North and South America. I mean, I think they're like the most widespread owl in the world, which is pretty cool.
But in some places in this country and in Europe, they were declining.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not saying they're not everywhere. I'm just saying in some places where they'd lost habitat.
Yeah, numbers were declining.
Yeah.
But the range was still.
Oh, yeah. The range was still solid.
Ginormous.
But, they do things like this and from the science side of this, you can count eggs, see how many chicks are produced, get ideas about, their ecology, their if that nest right there, for example, in the lower right-hand corner has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, at least 6 eggs in it.
And a big ugly chick.
And two ugly chicks. If you look real close, there's another one right there below his head. And I don't know if you can see that picture that well, but there's another eyeball and a beak.
And that's the problem with owls. They lay all those eggs and they hatch them out. And they're all stair-stepped on size.
Mm-hmm.
Hawks do this too. And like little brother or little sister, they tend to get kicked out of the nest.
Yeah, they don't tend to survive.
We have our rodeo arena down here in Evanston. It's got great big old-fashioned kind of bleacher stands.
Mm-hmm.
And in the fall and the spring, you can go down there and see hundreds of barn owls when they're migrating through.
Really?
Yeah. And they always got, I don't know why they like going to that spot, but they do. And it's every now and again there'll be short or long-eared owls there as well, but usually it's just barn owls.
You think that's because there's a lot of critters around because of the oats and grain?
No, I just think they like to roost under those bleachers, and then they bail out. They're not there very long, and they take off and go wherever,
Is that in the off season for rodeo events, or are they there when people are there?
No, it's off. It's pretty quiet there then, but. Yeah, they just kind of do like a staging there and then move on north or move on south, whichever way, whatever season it happens to be. But are you doing an owl thing?
Yeah.
Turn your head.
I was actually looking at that.
You can turn your head further than that, I'll be impressed.
See if I can turn it around 180.
Clear like an upside down owl head.
I was trying to look at that one looked funny for a minute. I thought the feathers were falling out of it, but never mind. It's not. But anyway, that's and I was doing an interesting thing about barn owls. I was trying to, I got one year they said, we've got some money for things like this. Would you like to order some bird boxes and of various kinds? And here's how much money we've got, and go for it and see what you can do with it. So I ordered, of course, a bunch of bluebird boxes because theirs are always happy. People like those, and you can give some of them away, and you can put them on places and draw birds in, which was another bird that Tennessee was really, which has made a huge comeback, but for a little while was scarce to see here. But I also bought about 10 or 12 really nice barn owl boxes, and they were sort of built specifically for barn owls, but they were really well put together and thought out as far as mounting and different things like that. And I ended up letting the Boy Scouts help me with those. I I never did get to see how well we did or didn't do with them, but they. But what I learned in that process of finding a good box was that it's becoming more common. For example, vineyard owners in California and other places like to put up barn owl boxes if they didn't already have them, because barn owls are really good for keeping the mouse population down.
Yeah.
And rodents that damage their vines and eat on the grapevines. So they were really these guys were selling a lot of boxes to those people. And I actually thought that was pretty cool, because rather than just poisoning everything like they tend to do, they were actually using a natural predator to go in there and help keep their vines clean. And apparently they did a good job. And most people that were doing it were quite happy about it. And I thought that was pretty cool. I mean, that's a good reason I hate that you have to get to a commercial reason to support wildlife and figure out a way to help them out. But I'll take it. It's better than the opposite, which is not caring one way or the other.
Yeah, I can darn sure tell once I've got this pair of horned owls that lives here in the yard, and they're only here. Well, they show up in August, and they're generally here through January, and then they leave and go nest somewhere. But I can definitely tell when they're here versus when they're not, just by the number of mice that we catch. It just, mouse population goes down significantly.
I bet.
When they're around.
I'm surprised you don't have any barn owls in your buildings, actually.
I've never seen one here. I see them in Wyoming, but not here.
Yeah, okay. What do you think?
We have long ears and horned owls. That's what we see here on our property.
Hey, good morning, Rhonda. Welcome in. The Caffeinated Misfits in. Speaking of caffeine, back here, great horns will be nesting. In fact, their young may be getting close to leaving the nest, or at least fledging about now, or maybe hatching out and getting ready. I don't know. They usually lay and hatch out in January.
February. Oh, in January.
Well, January and February time frame. So
here too.
So what do you think all this weather's going to do to your great horns this winter?
I don't know.
They may not
fare as well this year. I suspect that rodents are hard to come by, and
yeah, that was why.
I mean, there's so much snow that rodents are pretty much safe from predators, and our bald eagles are nesting already, and the horned owls are nesting. So, but yeah, we'll see.
What about golden eagles? When do they nest?
Same time.
So okay, so they could be, but they get large. They can track larger game. They're not really mouse critter eaters.
No, they'll eat antelope or whatever they can catch. Mule deer. Which is, people don't believe that an eagle could kill a deer or an antelope, but
you've explained that to me, and I'm a believer now.
I have watched them do it, and it's not a pretty sight, but
they do it.
They do, and this kind of winter's the kind where they're way more effective because the snow's so deep and widespread.
Catch them. And then it makes a big bloody scene because you can see the red blood on the white snow.
Yes, you can.
I believe you told me once that.
Plus, we have so much roadkill this year that it's.
Well, that's what I was getting ready to say too. And the other problem with that is if your highways are blocked, and they're not this year, I don't think. But if they were blown clear of snow, and
that's where everybody goes to walk.
Yeah, and that's where everybody goes to eat, and then owls and things end up cruising the highway to get mice or looking for rodents, and then they get smacked by big trucks and things like that. A lot of owls do get killed along highways because of that.
Well, we get pretty heavy eagle losses here when the deer are all getting killed on the road, and this winter we've got deer and elk and antelope and everything on the highways, and so I had 5 deer on the railroad tracks just north of the house yesterday, and train came through just after I photographed the deer. A train came through, and I didn't see any collision, but wouldn't surprise me if they didn't get one or two or all of them. But yeah, it's just a mess this year.
Yeah, it's gonna be bad.
And they walk where they can walk, and that's unfortunately that's the train tracks or the highways.
Yeah, that's bad. And here's an example of did I get that right?
Are those barred owls?
Yeah, I feel like I missed something though, but I guess I didn't. Yeah, that's 2 barred owl chicks sitting up in the entrance of the nest box, looking, wondering, where's the next food, Mama? And
a good southern owl.
Good southern owl, yeah. You all, it's even got
southern owl.
And I just showed this picture of the, how some of these are done with cameras inside the boxes. And, this technology wasn't here when you and I started life or natural resource work. And
so who's doing that work? Is that agencies or
both? It's agencies. It's people like the Audubon Society. Cornell University's got a bunch of different things out. Some of them are just communities that want to show that they've got them. Some of them are individuals, but they've got. There's some pretty. I don't know. I just think it's pretty cool what they can do now with cameras. And another example is, and if Brenda hadn't already said it, our friend Angie, who had the school, the nature school,
right?
She has a couple of boxes that she has cameras in on her property that have. I think she's had nuthatch. She's got a nuthatch box that's had activity and something else, and they've got a couple of cameras, and their kids get to watch the birds in there as they're raising young, hatching eggs, that kind of stuff, which I think's cool. Rhonda says there's a college in North Georgia that has an eagle cam. Yeah, I think there is. I don't know. I don't think I got that one. I've got several I'm going to show. And what's really neat about them is the other night I was watching an eagle cam that's out in, might be Oregon. And the eagle was on the nest, and I've watched them do several. I saw them fight off a bunch of ravens one day. That was interesting. And then, but the other night I turned it on, and due to infrared cameras and things like that, now they can watch them 24/7. I can remember when cams first started coming out, you couldn't at night. You just had a black picture. And maybe once in a while you'd see some movement, but you couldn't see anything in the nest. But now you can, and you get that image. It looks like night vision goggles, sort of. But I was watching them, and they were having one heck of a snowstorm, a blizzard type storm, and that the eagle, male or female, probably in this case probably the female, was setting the nest, and by morning she was completely covered over in snow. And she would, you could see where her head was, and she'd move her head occasionally to keep snow, I guess, kind of off her eyes, But it was just amazing that they can sit there and take that. And Brenda and I were talking about it because I think I hollered at her to come look at the picture. I hollered her a lot. And, you know, that the fact that those birds can withstand those kind of temperatures and just sit there. And of course, you know, she and I both said about the same time, well, it's probably warm as heck if you stuck your hand under those feathers. And that's true. And you know, so they can withstand that. I don't know how far down they could stand it, but it's cool. And I've got that camera here listed, and I'll show you in a minute. But if you
I mean, we get down to 40 or 50 below zero with the wind chill, and we've got eagles sitting on eggs right now, and I'm sure there'll be eaglets come, you know, when they hatch out here. And
what I worry about in a place like what you guys are having now is bald eagles are going to be looking. I mean, they're fish eaters mostly. They don't really hunt deer like a golden does, do they? I mean, out there they might, but
no, they eat anything dead on the highway.
Well, I was going to say they scavenge, and
they eat fish when we got water, but we don't have water for half the year. So, well, we've got hard water.
Yeah.
But we have a lot of bald eagles, and we have a lot of golden eagles, and they both eat deer carcasses and antelope and elk and moose and whatever.
Yeah, that makes sense. I just don't think about bald eagles actually taking down an antelope.
Well, they're not killing them.
Right.
They're scavenging. Golden eagles are killing them, but
Carol says she thinks webcams do a lot to promote interest in protecting animals. Yes, I do too. And I think sometimes, well, I won't go there.
Yeah, a lot of people aren't fortunate and don't get to see these things very often, and that's and you gotta know that it exists and be able to watch it to, you know, to care about it
and appreciate what their life cycle involves and how hard they've got it. This bird, this nest is in Denison. I think it's Denison, Texas. And they've been monitoring this in that community for several years. And there's a good idea of what the night cam looks like. And that's the technology, like I said, a few years ago, we didn't have. And now you can see that nest almost as good as you can in the daytime. And there's a great horned owl sitting on that one right there, which you'll see is the nest is just mostly sticks till you get right in the middle there where she's got her eggs, and then it'll be a real downy. I think they do. I think they line theirs. I know they do when it's cold, or most birds that live in cold weather climates do that. I guess they. Now I got to think about that a minute, because down here I'm not sure. I think they do, but maybe not to the same extent. If that eagle cam I've got a minute ago, if you saw its nest right now and the eggs were laying there, I mean, it just looks like they're enveloped in a little pocket of down below her. And but then the rest of the nest just looks like these sticks. And in that picture of the eggs here at the bottom, you don't see a lot of down in them, so they're not quite as concerned about the temperatures, I'm guessing.
Well, our eagle nest just down the river below me here is, I don't have any clue how long it's been there, but it's at least 10 feet tall. They just add sticks to it. It's in a big cottonwood tree, and they just add sticks to it every year. And of course, and I don't know what the diameter is, but it's huge. I mean, it's a huge nest.
There's a couple of places, I don't know where they're at. I want to say there's one out in California. It's on display, or it could be Oregon. So somewhere out there along the coast, or maybe even be Alaska. There's a lot of bald eagles in Alaska, but they've got a big nest that they either came out of a tree or they took down in a tree or something. But I mean, they've got it on display, and you can get in. The kids can get in it, and it's so big, it's about the size of a Volkswagen. And
yeah, the record nest was in Alaska.
well,
and
that makes sense.
I can't even remember how big in diameter and height. The height of it was amazing. And
I don't remember if I've got the pictures in here or not, but I was looking at pictures just yesterday where they were replacing some nests or putting up some nesting structures, and the eagle nest structures they were putting up were massive, and they were putting them on a pole about at least 8 to 10 inches diameter, maybe 12. That they were setting the boxes on top. I mean, this whole thing, and they were having to use cranes, of course, to lift everything. Had to lift the nest structure with a crane just to get it on the pole. And then they set that pole, of course, like they kind of set it like a light pole in the ground, which means you drill auger a hole in the ground about 6 or 8 feet deep and set the pole in it. And it was quite a project. I don't know if I included those pictures or not. And I got back to my screechy owl because they're one of my favorite owls. I just think they're neat little birds. And that top, I like that top picture because it shows 2 color phases we have.
Yeah, there's a gray phase bird right there with the red one.
Yeah. And I've actually gotten them out of a wood duck box, which I don't know if this is a wood duck or if this is somebody's put it up to attract owls. But I used to find them. I had one area that I used to check every year with some students, and every year, 2 or 3 or 4 of those boxes would have screech owls in them.
Cool.
And if I was late in the year checking them, they'd have eggs. And one year I got in a little bit later than that, and I found one that had 3 or 4 owlets in it, and they were just little fuzz balls. They were just neater than hell. But these little guys will get down in the box when you'd open the box. We had boxes at that time that the top came off, and you'd look down in there, and they'd just be sitting in the corner, kind of like, "You can't see me. You can't see me." You can't see me.
Don't make eye contact. It'll be okay.
And I'd reach in there and pick them up because I was trying to clean out the box. And of course, if I found an owl in them, I was wanting to check for owl pellets and that kind of stuff. And I had students with me, so I would get down out of the tree, and I would have that owl, and I would show them, let them get a look at it, and maybe even hold it. But they were just as calm as they could be. They never bit me. They never got excited. They were just calm. And then, as soon as I would let them go, they would either jump right back in the same box, or they'd go about 20 feet, hit the next tree that had a box, and duck right into it. So they're really neat birds, and I just love finding them in the wood duck boxes because, to me, that was just every bit as good as having a duck in it.
Yep.
That wasn't why the boxes were there, but it sure did work out good. Of course, squirrels got in them and other birds too, and those I didn't like, but the owls I tolerated. And you can learn a lot from that too, because I didn't realize how many songbirds screech owls ate. But they're out hunting at night, and they'll pick birds up off the roost or the nest. And I used to find a lot of cardinal feathers in the boxes where the owls had been eating high on the cardinal, so to speak. Our district's environmental ed program lists these as goals: awareness, knowledge, attitude, skills, and participation involving groups. And the Nest Box project hits all of these. That's true. Do you have a project like that, Carol, with Nest Boxes that your students, or I know your students are little, but they could still learn a lot? Do they go out and do that? Oh man, I tell you what, guys, I apologize for my wiggling around in the chair and my posture. It's terrible. And it's because I can't sit still. Brenda's aunt, may she rest in peace, her Aunt Veda from California. The only time I ever met her, she was back here visiting. And she was trying her best to quit smoking. And she was wearing nicotine patches. I say plural because I think she had more than one. But the funniest thing, the girls and Brenda, the girls just loved her. They really took to her. And she was a bit of a wild card. She's a character. But they were doing something, and I don't know if it was stressful or what, but she started slapping her arm, saying, "Work, damn it, work." And it was her caffeine patch. She was hoping that hitting it might get a little extra juice in the arm. And Carol said, "No nest boxes, unfortunately. We do have a certified schoolyard habitat that the kids have worked on over the years." Well, that's good.
That's cool.
I worked with some students on a habitat area too, a wetland area, in one of the local counties that I worked in, up around Norris, and they were doing some pretty cool things in that. And they had some interested students. I mean, some of them could care less, just typical, but they had quite a few that really paid attention and were interested in it. But I really like little screech owls, and I thought I had a couple more pictures. I really had to work hard not to get too many pictures because I wanted to show some actual cameras. So we'll go through the rest of these fairly quick.
Buddy.
Which next one takes me to these pictures. And this is actually, I see now that I look at this is Friends of Big Bear Valley. And
that's in California.
That's in California. And these birds have been monitored for some time on this nest. And I can't remember the birds' names now, but they know them both.
They don't have names.
Well,
they're birds.
They do to them. You know that.
I'm sure they do.
And in fact, I was going to give people the opportunity to name some birds here in a minute. So now you got me ashamed. I'm not doing it. This one's kind of interesting because they've got data on there that's current. When you look at their live cam, again, I'll put a link in later, but you can see these birds 24/7, and it's got information, and I think it's got wind speed and maybe temp on it, and a few other things. And I'm not sure what body of water that is. I don't know if that's an ocean, inlet, or if that's a lake or a river, but they've got water there to hunt in, which isn't frozen. But these birds,
say it was Big Bear?
Big Bear, yeah.
It's a lake.
Big Bear Lake.
Well, it's right there in that country. So.
Okay. Well, it probably is then.
There's a big prison there too.
Oh boy. And here's a couple other things. And eagles were a big deal. And I know that scientists would have loved to have had eagle cams 20 years ago or 30 years ago. And Mark can tell you how.
Yeah, but they'd have made me climb up the dang tree to put it in place.
And you would have done it gladly back then.
Yeah, I mean, we were always climbing and monitoring nests in Kentucky.
Right.
They sent me to a special school.
Oh, did they?
For tree climbing. Yep.
Yeah. Well, I didn't go to any of those.
Not that I hadn't climbed like a billion trees before that. But
yeah, but you had to do it.
But I did it safely.
Yeah. Well, this was what I was going to say was like the one on the left, you can see a broken shell. So that's probably a nest failure, or at least that egg is. And because it doesn't look to me like it's being hatched out of. It just looks busted.
Looks like it got shoved over to the side too.
Yeah, but it's got a big and it's got a big crack in it. Looks like. And then down here at the bottom, and these are not the big Bear Valley ones. These are different birds. In fact, this bird on the right, or this pair with the young in it, are out of Washington D.C. So I mean, these birds also made a huge comeback. When I was growing up, we did not see eagles
ever.
Ever. And the first wild bald eagle I ever saw was in Florida, down towards the Everglades, and they were nested in trees there along actually some of them were along a highway, but it was near a body of water. And that's the first eagles I ever saw live in the wild. And we just never saw them. And then as we got older, and you and I saw some, maybe not. Maybe we saw an osprey, which is another story. But these birds, here's the thing. These birds weren't necessarily hunted so much as DDT got most of these.
That's what killed eagles.
Eagles and osprey and birds and other birds of prey got hammered by DDT. And while humans helped them come back in many cases, and they were heavily protected, just getting rid of the DDT over time helped these birds come back. And now the eagles are now off or almost off the endangered species list. I think they're
off.
They're still heavily protected, but they're off, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, that's what
they're clear off the list. But there's the 1972 Eagle Protection Act or whatever it was. Both eagles are totally protected, but they're not. They're not on the endangered species list anymore.
And as that protection waned, and as they got more population grew and they became closer to getting off the list, regulations changed. And in my case, we were able to monitor. It changed how we operated around them and near them, which brings me to the story of how when you worked at LBL, it was a big deal at the time. And they had they had an eagle's nest on a big old tree by the lake in a cove that people loved to fish in.
Yep.
And it was monitored. I think you had to go out there from time to time and make sure nobody was in there. But back then, you weren't allowed anywhere near a nest site. I mean, half a mile away or something, you had to stay.
Yeah, they had that bay closed off.
Yeah.
And I mean, they used to have like those big bow fishing tournaments there. And I would literally like fill my boat full of dead fish, carp and whatnot, and take it and haul it to the eagle nest when they were, actively nesting, and just drop them on the shore there. And those birds would pick those nasty old fish. You kind of lose some respect for a bald eagle when you see that.
And you realize they're kind of a buzzard in a way.
When they eat like a 5-day-old dead gizzard shad, that's kind of.
Rhonda, who's Caffeinated Misfit, wants to know, how do you know they don't have names for each other?
It's probably clip, 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 clip.
Yeah, and then that other sound they make.
That.
She can't. She's looking for nest sites and things.
Now you've watched all them movies. They make a red-tailed hawk noise.
Yeah, I know they do. Yeah, here's the true thing. Bald eagles make probably for the most as elegant and beautiful and wonderful bird they are in flight, and majestic is the word I guess I'm looking for. They are the sounds they make are pretty pitiful. They don't. The sound they make is not necessarily worthy of such a raptor. So in TV and movies, they always put different sounds to them, and usually it's a red-tailed hawk cry. And you hear that, and you'll see an eagle, or they'll show an eagle, and they'll put that red-tailed, yeah, kind of. But and really, all they do is sort of whistle. They don't. They don't.
Hi, buddy.
They're kind of sad in that regard, but they are beautiful birds. I can remember saying, Mark, I saw a pair one time doing the kind of thing, the spinning around,
grabbing their talons, and
yeah, one time up at the lake, and I was mesmerized. That was pretty cool. But we counted them every year, tried to, and on several different areas. And I just thought that was one of the best trips of the year, was to go out in the middle of the winter when it's cold and nasty and look for eagles, because I love to see them on the water. I've yet to see an eagle that I wasn't or in fact, I still get excited about any bird of prey. You can ask my wife. Hey, Boudreaux. Oh, I thought you had hold of him.
No, they're wrestling again. I was going to show the pile. I had like 4 dogs wrestling for a while, but they broke up before I could get my computer moved. So.
Well, I don't really want to break the concentration here for a minute, but you ain't got no moose in the yard today, do you?
Oh, negative.
So no field trips today.
Well, I told you I rubber blunted her. I think I told you that I rubber blunted her.
You did, and I even posted a picture of her online.
She's getting a little tiresome.
Oh, I bet she is. Yeah, see, Mark's wife couldn't get to the car again the other day because
couldn't even go to work.
The moose was loose in the yard. Here's another couple pictures, and looking at the pines in that picture, this might be Florida or South Carolina. I don't know if those are longleaf pines or
what they look like.
They do. Look how they're hanging over here. And
the birds look like it's warm wherever they're at.
Yeah, but this is looking around the nest. That's a man-made structure. They've built this one in people have mounted some kind of a structure either in the tree,
like a basket.
Basket. It's a wire basket. Well, it's a metal cage with a wire basket inside where they can build and hold their nest, as compared to this one at the bottom right, which is just a naturally built one.
So I wish I'd have had those baskets when they were sending me out in that 15-foot square stern canoe out on Lake Barkley or Kentucky, and hanging osprey boxes on those power lines that cross those giant power line structures. And I was all by myself, and I'd tie my canoe to the bottom of the power line structure and climb up there and build a nest. But we were just building them out of sticks and boards and whatnot. But they used them. So,
it's funny you say that, because sometime between when you did that project and worked for TVA down there, and when I came along and got a job with TVA, that practice of sending somebody out in a boat by themselves stopped.
Oh, I'll guarantee you.
Well, I think they had a couple of guys drown that got caught out in some bad weather or a guy, and they just wouldn't let anybody out without it. You had to go a lot of safety stuff, but most of which was practical and made sense to me. But there was a few things that we did on our job that didn't make sense, and their boating rules kind of covered working on a barge and a tug, and that didn't fit nothing up. What are you laughing about,
Carol?
Which part? That thing? Or selfie comment? Yeah.
Yeah, about that eagle. The look
Right
on
here.
that eagle's face. So it looks like you're being attacked. Maybe not.
Oh, Guys, if you want to somebody wants to take care of that, I can't see that part of the chat right now. Unless that's real. I mean, if she's real, that's fine. Welcome in, Anna. So anyway, that's eagles, and then I think I've got one or two little pictures here of just one of my next favorite birds are peregrine falcons. I have a good story to tell about peregrines.
You just don't like ducks, do you?
I do like ducks. I just didn't think.
You were talking about, well, I'd rather have a screech owl in a duck box than
Well, I would.
and now you're saying how peregrine falcons are your favorite falcon. And
I said one of my favorites. I guess you got a point there. It does kind of sound anti-duck, doesn't it?
Anti-duck. When your name used to be Duck Hawk,
Yeah.
there's a reason for that.
There's a reason for that. And these are the fastest animals on the planet right here.
We have a nest on the river over on the Green River just east of my house. Well, I mean it's 30 miles east of my house, but I've seen those birds actually kill ducks on the river.
Oh, have you?
Yeah, I mean the ducks are flush and they're flying and they're quick. Ducks aren't slow flyers, and those peregrines just come screaming out of the sky, and
bam,
and they're down hard. So,
yep, a cloud of feathers and a
cloud of feathers,
old silver.
Oh my God, dogs!
But anyway, peregrines also suffered the same fate as the eagles. The DDT hurt them bad. Hey there, dogs.
Hey, come here.
Come here. Beachloo, I think. Hey, Hank.
Hank the cow dog. There's Boudreaux. There's Gigi. They're having quite the morning.
I see that.
It's just them and Dad today, so
good times.
Yeah, they don't get near as much trouble when it's just Dad.
At least they don't get yelled at as much, huh?
Well, they don't do as much. When Mama's home, they act like Mama's home.
Yeah. So the neat thing about peregrines that happened, and I have a story about this I tell. But if you really look close, the one on the left, well, both of these are artificial structures of some sort, but they're buildings, or the one on the right, is a building. And peregrines naturally lived on bluffs and rocky places and canyons and gorges and that sort of thing, and mountains. And so once they started coming back, they actually started figuring out that if they could live in concrete canyons and fly in cities, that they could actually live there, because there's always pigeons to eat. And these birds are, and I can't remember the word for it, it's not, I want to say pisciferous, but that's fish eaters. But they eat birds and eat other little birds, and these guys are amazing predators, and they can eat pigeons, which does everybody a favor. I mean, it gives them something to eat and helps clear out the pigeon population. So once these things started showing up in cities again, everybody was kind of excited. So here's an example of that. You see the city background here, and there's the peregrine standing proud. the story I have is for a while, it's still exciting to me, but for a while to find a new peregrine nest in Tennessee was really exciting because there just weren't that many that were known. And I'm sure there were ones that people didn't know about, but anytime one showed up, it drew a lot of attention and got, listed on bird sites and things. Well, one day, one of our biologist types, he actually wrote a book about the breeding birds of Tennessee, which was about that thick. It was, it's a respected text kind of thing, but he was in his office in the towers downtown, and he looked and he saw something go, and he grabbed his binoculars and he said, "I think that was a peregrine." And sure enough, he kept watching, and eventually he confirmed, and it was a peregrine. It was living in downtown Knoxville, and he kept watching it and figured out that it was somewhere on the Hilton Hotel building. Well, it wasn't too long after that somebody started complaining. I guess they came to, I don't know if they came to TVA to ask about it or what, but what was happening was some of their clientele were complaining because when you walked in the front door, there were pigeon heads laying on the sidewalk. And this bird was sitting in the crossbar of the H. The Hilton sign was right above the door, way up high. And that bird would make a kill, and that's where he brought it back to eat it almost every time. And he was dropping the heads off, and they were landing in the front door. So guests were having to walk across these bird heads to get in. And at first, the hotel management wanted to get rid of those birds. They didn't want those dead heads. That sounds like somebody's a Grateful Dead fan. They wanted to get rid of them, and then they realized that it was a good thing because it actually attracted clientele, and people wanted to stay there and live where the falcon was. And I don't know for sure if they're still down there, but we've got a couple in Knoxville, and Chattanooga's got some, and a couple of trestles that cross the river down there. And so they become more common. But again, and it's another bird that, like Mark said, they're duck hawks, and other hawks were called chicken hawks, and those got a lot of pressure from Farmer Joe. And here's an example of what I was just talking about. Here's their natural habitat. And the top picture, left picture, that's peregrine, beautiful bird. And they would lay their eggs in a little alcove or something in a rock inside of a cliff. And versus down here where they've done it on the side of a building. I'm not sure where that one is. It says it's the Nisippi Audubon camera, but I'm not sure what city that is. But
Mississippi. Where's Mississippi at?
I don't know. I don't know if that's a real name.
Be along the Mississippi somewhere.
Well, that's what I was thinking. But anyway, that's a juxtaposition of natural, the natural nesting spot versus
one. They got nice brown eggs, look like good brown chicken eggs.
Yeah. Yeah. Go in there and see if you can grab them. Reach in there and grab them eggs. That sounds like some other trouble we got.
Just reach over there and grab him by the snoot.
Yeah. And here's one in Rhode Island. I just threw this in there as an example, the Audubon Society and a webcam. And here's an osprey box, and there's a lot of ospreys now in this part of the country, especially down where I'm at along the Tennessee River. There's 20 years ago, you never saw an osprey. And Mark and I were talking, I was talking a while ago, it's probably been at least 30 years ago that we saw the first one on Boone Lake. You and I saw at least.
Yeah.
and which I believe was the only nest at the time, and up there, and it was a big deal. At least to us, it was. And
I
then
see them by the hundreds now.
yeah, me too.
I mean,
they're a lot
they're
more
just like a dime a dozen, which is cool. But they're, I mean, and eagles. It's just like, yep, there's a bald eagle.
yeah.
But I still get really excited about all of them.
And this last one was just kind of for educational purposes. This is how webcams get used for classroom education. I mean, this is your basic robin feeding, their young in a nest.
That's cool.
I think that's a robin.
It's a robin.
Those white spots look odd to me, or maybe that's sunlight coming.
That's
through.
sunlight coming
That's
through.
what it is. That's what it is. So anyway, that might be it. That's all my slides now.
I used cameras in when I was in grad school, and this is how far this has come. That was a while ago now, but I had 8mm movie cameras that had probably been built in the 50s that I put inside of ammo cans. And then I put glass over I cut the end out of an ammo can, put glass on the end of it, set the camera up inside the ammo can and affixed it to a tree. And I was looking for turkey use at these water holes out in the desert. And I got some wonderful footage of a variety of creatures, including undocumented aliens trying to steal my cameras.
Was this your turkey cameras?
Yeah, that had, they'd walked across from good old Mexico and they were trying to take my cameras off the trees. I don't know why. They weren't worth anything, but anyway. I had them chained and locked to the tree. So
keep talking a minute. I gotta grab something here.
So it went from that, and that was back in the late '80s, and it's the technology is just amazing now that folks have available to them. Did you fall?
No.
The
can did.
The what?
A can did. Hang on a minute. Let me show you.
A can did.
Yeah. Kay asked a question in chat.
If you're going to drink death, may as well have a little caffeine with it.
Kay asked a question: Has anyone drinks the caffeine water liquid death? Well, here it is. But liquid death doesn't actually have caffeine in it. The reason they called it liquid death is because they are against plastic.
Because it'll kill you.
And it gets in the oceans and everything. So they're trying to eliminate plastics because nobody really recycles plastics. And you can basically recycle this stuff over and over and over again. So they put all their water in aluminum cans, just like soft drinks, so that they can be recycled easier. And the liquid death actually is death to plastics. And this water comes out of the Alps. And I don't know if somebody's spreading the rumor that it's caffeinated. It's not. Now they do have one that's effervescent or sparkling water or bubbly water or whatever you want to call it. But we drink this all the time here at the house because I don't know, sometimes it just seems to go down good because it's got a elevated, it does have a pH is different, so it tastes better than water here. But rather than drink it out of a bottle, I highly recommend, if you're going to drink bottled water or canned, I would recommend getting this because it's better for the environment overall. But it is not caffeinated, Kay. Somebody might have told you that, but it's not.
Well, maybe they have a caffeinated version.
Well, they have two versions that I'm aware of, and I looked it up when I got interested in it. And one of them is in a black can, but that is their bubbly one. And if they have a caffeinated version, I've not seen it anywhere listed.
Well, my daughter,
And that includes their website, so I don't know.
my stepdaughter used to drink nothing but bottled water.
Mm-hmm.
Refused to drink anything, and I'm like, well, look where that comes from. And it was reported as like Rocky Mountain spring water from some Artesia kind of spring down there on the Front Range of Colorado. And what they're really doing was filling those bottles out of the South Platte River.
Yeah, that's
and lying about it. I'm like, why won't you drink the well water here at the house? We know where it comes from.
I always liked well water. We had well water a time or two, and I much preferred well water over at most anything else you can get. But anyway, I'm not trying to. I wasn't trying to, Kate, say you didn't know what you're talking about. I just wanted to clarify that because
You need to do this the next time you hype a product. There you go.
well, they're not sponsors or anything, but I just
Death Witch, Liquid Death, and Blackbeard's Delight.
yeah,
Not sponsors.
But I actually drink water out of the tap too. I don't really have a problem. It's not quite as good, but Brenda and I started drinking this. I got it. I was told about it from somebody else, and I started trying it. And she likes it better because she had been drinking a higher pH water from somewhere else, and she found that she drank more of it when it was like that, and it does seem to change its effect. You know how it doesn't leave.
Well, if it tastes better, that's when you drink more.
That's the main thing.
We have now I got to go look at it. We have well water here at the house, but the well's pretty shallow, and we have it tested fairly regularly, and it's potable. I mean, it's drinkable. Sometimes it doesn't taste the best, and so we bought a filter, like a double filtration system.
Diana's leaving. Diana, have a good day. I thought you guys were going to get. Is Mike already gone? And I wanted to say hi to Tina because I missed seeing her come in. Tina said, "Good to see the flag." Well, thank you, Tina. I put the flag. I've been meaning to put the flags back up, and I just honestly, I've been not walking and standing as well as I was, so it was a little harder to put up. But Brenda helped me do it today, so which I can do it. I just have to be careful.
I liked looking at all your stuff.
Well, I kind of did too. So, I mean, my safe and my
I'm sure there were like pistoles and knives and axes,
rifle guns, and Thomas Hawks, bottles of
Red Brush,
good Irish whiskey.
That's Sumac, man.
Sumac.
Well, that country up there, up on the ridge to the west of Mom and Dad's house, they call that the Red Brush country.
Oh, okay.
And it's all, smooth sumac when it turns red in the fall.
Mike, see you next week, buddy. I'm
see you, Mike.
You have to go, but have a good rest of your day.
See you, Diana.
Anyway, I'll get through the rest of this now. I'm going to do this. I'm going to just pull over a couple of different, and I'm going to take a chance, and I'm going to show them.
Question from Mark: with your well, do any of your neighbors use that to cool their houses?
Oh, a thermo system.
I have a rancher buddy that has a spring that he pipes to his. He's got a kind of a giant, oversized bunkhouse that he stays in the summer in the higher country, and he uses it to both cool that place. He's got pipes through all the flooring, and he cools the place in the summertime because that spring stays about 37 degrees, and he heats it in the wintertime, which is kind of interesting. So
Yeah, some
he keeps
people,
that house above freezing all year round.
Mike. There's a few people around here that do that too. Not common, not as common as it probably ought to be, but it is. They do also do it around here, so I'm aware of which you speak. All right, I'm gonna show just some brief clips of a couple of webcams. No, that's not the right thing. Nothing up my sleeve. Watch me pull a rabbit out of my hat. Oh, wrong hat.
Oh, stupid snow.
Stupid snow. Stupid snow. Stupid snow. Here we got a peregrine. Speaking of peregrine,
That's cool.
this one is in California. Also, it's in the UC Berkeley.
My daughter-in-law went to UC Berkeley.
Oh, look what they've got there for feeding. I thought this might be a little fun for us that have a little bit of bloodthirst.
Are they eating a pigeon?
Looks like it.
Yeah, that's a good use of a pigeon.
Mm-hmm. Those of us that have a little bit of bloodlust left in us, we can look at, being pigeons and such being skint.
Well, I think those other two chicks need to get in the game.
Yeah, and those are the ones that get kicked out of the nest for it.
And then there's an egg that's still left too. That one's really going to get kicked out.
Yeah, he's going to be way he's going to be way behind the others. That's an example of how they stair step them. I had a really good, and I might have it here still. Really good camera, which reminds me, here's my other list right here of webcams and different nests. I had a great one of some owls, and they were stair stepped, and the eggs had been laid. The eggs had actually been laid 3 days apart. And you could tell the birds, and that I told Brendan and I were talking about that last night. So that little one, I bet he don't make it because he's just so much smaller than the other three. But who knows? Maybe if the food's plentiful and
I have a red-tailed hawk nest here on the property, and she'll have. It seems like every year she throws about 3 to 4. And did you go away?
No, I'm here, aren't I?
You froze.
Oh, did I?
Now you're back. Anyway, this red-tailed hen raises these chicks, and if it's a good year, if it's a mild year and it's a good rodent year, she'll keep all 4 of them alive.
Yeah, it really depends on what they can find to eat.
And when it's like one of these years, she might only raise 1 successfully or none.
She's ripping that bird apart, holding it down with her feet. And she's getting a few bites, and she's giving the chicks a few bites. Here we go. Smaller bite. You take this one, George. That one chick looked
like it got a meat overload and passed out.
Yeah. It had taken a meat nap. That's time for that other little one to get up and get fed now. And all these things, you probably can't hear it. I mean, let's see if you can hear the sound. And I just realized I'm not watching the live feed. I've had this on for a while, so But they do have a live feed of this bird too. All right, let's find another one.
That's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool, and it's cool that you can see such a thing.
I would love to have had that technology. Love to.
And that's it. Just the thought of that technology at one time is, like you said, putting a camera in a box seemed like such a fun thing to do, or something to do, or a way to do it, and yet that had absolutely nothing. It's nothing like you can do today.
I spent darn near 30 years doing wildlife work, and we didn't have that technology right up till like a couple years before I retired. It was just not available.
All right, why is that doing that to me? Because it would always, of course, it would do it to me.
Falcon Watch Utica.
I want to pull my eagle up. Maybe I'll have to cut and paste here. Hang on,
Thank you. I think you sent me a link on the eagle.
I might have, because it was really. The other night I was watching it, and they were in the middle of that blizzard. Man, it was just howling.
Yeah.
And they had sound on that camera. Well, that's not it. That's my side.
Oh, so there's a guy that's doing a bunch of drone video work off the west coast of California. It only has a west coast.
True.
There are people that would wish it had an east coast too, but right now it's just got a west coast. But this guy's like videoing white sharks.
Oh, really?
And they've got the big giant females out there, and there are a ton of those sharks in that water out there off the coast. I think they probably pup or calve or give birth to young in that country, and there's a lot of smaller, like 10-foot sharks, and then there's those great big 20-foot long females, and people would not get in the water if they saw the number of sharks that are off of some of those places.
And isn't it?
And then you see guys out there, guys and gals, like on surfboards and paddle boards, and they're just like playing right, and they see the sharks, and they just keep doing their deal, and it's like one of them's going to think you're a sea lion or something one of these days.
Exactly.
You look like you're a big old topwater lure right now.
Here's another kind of a cool sight. These guys, and this is called the Hancock Bald Eagle Tracking Alliance. Well, that's one of their efforts. They do a lot of other stuff. But they have, for example, I don't know if I can pull this up or not. Hang on a minute. Yeah, well, I can, but it may not be as like I wanted it to, but I can still show it. Hang on. What's cool about them is you can go on their site and they've got birds that are tagged in this. And this is Canada, which I really hate Mike and Diana had to leave because this is, I think, off BC. And
so they're tracking those birds. And
they're tracking those birds, and they're figuring out where they go and how they're spending their time and where they're living at. And which, again, is not as important today as it was 20 years ago, but it's still really cool that they can do it or are trying to do it.
Well, from a kind of looking at it at a different perspective, as the country is moving towards quote unquote green energy, which is mostly just green because of the money that you get out of it. But like windmills and things of that nature have a fairly big impact on birds of prey migrations, etc.
Well, that's true.
And knowing where those migratory pathways are is very important when it comes to, some company that wants to come in and put 1,000 turbines up.
Yeah,
that can be a pretty big deal. So
I think we've had a nest lost right there.
I'm retired. I shouldn't be talking about
You
that.
shouldn't. But here's a live cam, an example. I don't guess you guys can hear the wind, but the wind is just howling around that bird. And I don't see any eggs on that nest.
I hear it. Oh, it's just outside my window.
Oh. Well, you can see it though. Look at the trees whipping around here.
Yeah.
She may be over there.
She's gotta have an egg in there. No, she's just working on the nest.
She's working on the nest.
She's getting ready to put an egg in.
Well, this is in along the coast in British Columbia, so they may just now be getting ready.
Yeah, I bet they're just like, but they got less snow. They got no snow. What's up with that?
Coastal.
Oh, so she's pulling down up out of that last year's stuff, and
yeah,
and he's just getting in the way.
And he's just in the way. Yep. Hey, Amy, I meant to say hi. I saw you come in a minute ago. Tina wants to know if that's the same wind. It might be.
Here, can I help you? No, you can't. Why don't you go catch a fish?
Why don't you go get me a fish? And yeah, see, go get a fish, damn it. Let me have it.
Stop bickering with me.
That is not where I wanted that put. It was kind of cool. The one I was watching the other day, and I think they've got, I'll get to that one in a minute. I think they've got a recording of it. But, and I was going to put these links in the chat, wasn't I? I think I can still do that. If anybody wants to check them out later, you can. What was cool the other day, they showed the eagle was on the nest, and it was the female, which is, they may have them tagged or they've got them identified by feathers or something, or maybe just body size. But the female was on the nest, and about 8 or 9 ravens showed up and started really, you know how that works. They started raising hell with her. And they were coming down and when they'd get down on the sticks part of the nest, she'd flare up and go after them and beat them off with her wings. And man, she was beating them over the head. I don't know if that's a way to work together or a way to not work together. I'm waiting for her to throw him off the side. But she started calling out.
That's amazing to watch that.
And to see them actually building a nest.
That is absolutely amazing.
That's the kind of thing I like too, because you don't see that a lot. They just sort of appear, you know. Or an eagle nest is there all the time, and
it's pretty careful about placement. That's pretty cool.
Well, I mean, look how twisted together they are, because they'll push them down in things and poke the other. I mean, they know how to build it to make it last. It's kind of like Brenda's little bulldozer shrimp up there. I got to get some videos of him, because he works diligently to get the rocks in position. It's amazing. Anyway, now I forgot what I was saying. Oh, the ravens. So she started calling, and then off in the distance, you could see him, the male, coming. And he came in and started diving on the ravens. and pretty soon they were gone. And he came in. He was a hero. Somebody had typed in the chat, "Here comes the cavalry." And here he came, and she never got off the egg. She never left the eggs. And
no, because that's what they wanted.
They wanted the eggs, and between the two of them, they managed to survive the ordeal. But that's a natural kind of threat, and that birds really face that. Let me see what else I got here.
So I've got an American crow nest in my front yard out here in the summertime, and last year red-tailed hawk got all the chicks out of that nest. Waited till they hatched, and those crows would throw an absolute fit, when that bird was around, and didn't do them any good. She still got them.
Here's another one I wanted to show. This is that Enos.
It's not gentle love words.
It ain't pillow talk, is it, Tina?
You need to go somewhere else and find something to do.
Come on, Bill, get out of here. And this is that Enos, Texas website that I showed earlier, a couple of pictures of it. The great horned owls in this tree. And this looks like a pretty solid nest, and you can see they've built it up over the years. Although that board right there, piece of plywood, looks like it. If that was in the east, I'd say that's not long for this world. But
we can't see it.
Oh, I forgot to present it. Sorry. Got a little ahead of myself there, gang. Hang on.
You're talking about stuff we can't see.
Yeah, you can. And you can see how close she is to a house. In fact, she's in somebody's yard, or they are. And but they've been monitoring this one, I think, for a couple of years too. And they refer to these guys as Alvira and Hoots as the two adult birds.
So I was giving people crap about naming birds, but we have a pair of horned owls that live in the yard that my wife refers to as Ozzie and Harriet.
Well, that's a good name.
I think so.
Tina says she saw a jay steal hummingbird eggs on a webcam. I don't doubt that, but I've never seen them do that. Oh, who's? Well, I think I'm seeing things. I just thought I saw the door open. And here's if anybody's interested, here is the address, the web link for this owl site. And again, you see a lot, and you're going to see a bit more activity out of these guys at night, since that's when they do most of their hunting. Tina says, "Dear, if you don't get out of my way, I'm going to take this stick and stick it." Not in the nest, I take it. You're probably more right than you know, Tina. But this is another long-term study, and there's a nest across the way there that I'd be willing to bet is not there for horned owls. I mean, not there, not there for wood ducks. Hang on, guys. But anyway, this one's been monitored for several years now. And that's a cool thing about a lot of these predatory birds or birds of prey. A lot of them will nest in the same nest every year if the nest is there. Sometimes the nests get blown out of trees and storms and such. But they'll quite often come back to the area where they were hatched or fledged. And once they pair up and start coming to a nest, they'll keep coming to it. We had a pair of oh. You laughing at me or something somebody said?
I'm laughing at Tina.
I am a wife. I have similar thoughts. Oh, what's the hawk that we have around here, Mark? Come on. It's not a red tail, but a
Red shoulders.
red shoulder. Speaking of birds of prey, there's a big old osprey right now outside my window, I think.
Cool. It's been a raptor kind of day. I had an eagle and you've got an osprey.
We got water right out here close, and they hunt that regularly. Anyway, which made me lose my whole train of thought.
You was talking about something about wood duck nest boxes.
Well, there's a box off in the distance there if you see it, and I don't think that's for wood ducks. You see it behind the owl's nest?
Yeah, it's got a big hole in it though. It's got to be for an owl or a
yeah. Well, it looks like a wood duck box.
Could be a kestrel box.
Could be. You know, they had a neat project at UT for a while when I first came here. And that project involved kestrel nest boxes on the interstate highway along in the side the wide medians that Tennessee has in places. And they were monitoring those boxes to see, how they were doing. Let me go down here to my. Okay, I believe this is a feeder cam. I can't figure out why these links aren't working for me. I'm having to cut and paste them. I have them in a document, and that document is failing me. This one should be changing. Oh, well, that didn't change. That's the same bird. Here we go. I thought this one might be interesting, but it may not be, depending on what's going on in it. Let me show it to you. But it's a feeder cam, and it's somewhere along. This may be at Cornell, which is somewhere in your part of the world, isn't it, Tina? And Cornell's in New York, right? Up around the Finger Lakes, or maybe. Well, I'm not sure exactly. And they filled this since yesterday.
Where's the birds at?
Well, that's why I say I thought if it was a good day, the birds might be on it and we could talk about the different species they had visiting, but they may not be coming to it right now for
Why hang that much feed out there? I'd have 100 birds on it before I could even walk away. I told you, I think the other day I had chickadees landing in my hand.
Yeah, you did.
Black cap chickadees I just filled my palm of my hand with sunflower seeds and they just land in my hand, which makes me feel all happy and gooey inside.
Well, yesterday I looked at this site and there was a few birds on it, but this one feeder over here to the far right was empty. So they filled that up this morning, or maybe last night, wherever this is at.
Looks like they're trying to attract gray squirrels.
Well, this part does. This is called. There's a cardinal. I had one of those in my garage.
Look at that beautiful bird.
I had one of those in my garage this morning.
In the garage?
Yeah, he came in through the door when I had it open to get in and out.
Oh.
Hey, what's that red bird? What's that red bird out there? Look. But anyway, they're probably putting these peanuts out hoping the squirrels will avoid the other stuff, but it don't usually work. I've tried that too. Nothing really seems to work. Let me find another.
They'd be happy to eat those peanuts, and then they'll eat everything else too.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Oh, here's a cool one, Mark. You'll appreciate this one. And ladies, if you want to look at one I'm putting up,
what was that?
I don't know. I saw it go by. We'll wait just a minute before I glue this one, my next one in here. All right, it's too late. Here comes. This is an endangered Bermuda petrel.
Oh, cool.
And this is a burrow. I guess these guys burrow probably on shoreline cliffs and bluffs, maybe a little bit like a booby or something. I don't know how much he or she will move around on the nest, but I found this yesterday at None Such Expeditions. Okay, what did they say?
Tina.
It's not really about attracting squirrels, it's accepting there will be squirrels, kind of like here on Tennessee Bear Channel. Don't you leave, Tina, because I've got a surprise at the end. I don't know. Here's another one of the links I put up, but I don't remember which one that is now. Here's the one for this petrel box. This is cool because this is a bird you're not going to see many cams of, I don't think.
I think somebody just pulled that thing off their grill and set it down in that hole.
No, they didn't. It was moving around last night when I was watching.
Oh, there it's moving.
Yeah. Goosey, goosey, goosey. Reckon they think somebody's watching them.
Golly.
Sitting there, that's another Cornell project, but they, it's got to be sitting there thinking. I mean, this is somewhere maybe off the coast of Bermuda or along the coast of Bermuda, and we can sit in our living rooms and watch it. I mean, that's just, to me, that just blows my mind.
None Such Expeditions.
Nonsuchland.com, all about birds. Well, I know that's part of Cornell. But that's just so cool. Halfway across the world and we get to see it. Okay, let me find another one.
We're right there off the coast of Florida.
Yeah, here's something in Texas. I don't know if there'll be any activity here or not. I'm going to look before I post the link. But I will show it.
Oh, look at that beauty.
Yeah. This is a suet feeder somewhere in West Texas. Oh, there's all kinds of birds flying by below it. There's another big feeder, looks like, down there.
The yellow thing that I keep seeing moving about.
Yeah, I saw that go by. There's a lot of birds down a little bit lower.
Well, it looks like it's probably 65 degrees or more.
Yeah, it does. This one doesn't have a temp on it.
This is another Cornell deal.
Yeah. I guess I got into their website.
Wonder if they've got any hummingbird feeders down in southeast Arizona.
Brenda used to watch one in California. There's a bird.
There we go.
What is that? Is that
some kind of a vireo?
Vireo, yeah, that's what I was going to say. Vireo, here I am. The next two links I'm going to put up and things I'm going to show are they have live cams at their websites, but this, I believe both of these are recordings and from their cams, and these are more like what would you call them? Game trail cams, I guess, but because they're not. Oh,
they're just taking stills.
No, it's a cam. Can you hear the commentary?
No.
Okay, well,
You
what's going
got your
on
sound turned off. I can see it from here.
now?
Nope, still can't hear
Well,
it.
I'm going to turn it off so I can talk over it. The Pennsylvania Game and Fish, look at that thumb. Game and Fish Commission put this camera. This is under the deck of a house.
Hibernating big old black bear.
Yeah, big old bear decided to take up hibernation under their front porch.
And they got big bears in Pennsylvania.
Yeah. Well, look at that. I mean, well, that's hard to tell because there's no comparison. But
That's
head
a
of
big
that
old male bear.
looks like a big old bear. Yes, and that's
Oh, it
under
says
somebody's
female bear den.
Well, it may have young then.
She's got an awful big chunky head to be a female, but
He does. That's what I was looking at. He's just dog painting in the back.
Bagel.
Now down here, Mark. Well,
Man, that looks like a male bear, not a female, but maybe she's got cubs.
He said true, and what he just said there, we can't hear it, but he said male bears are not really true hibernators. Well, even the black bears aren't. I mean, the females aren't truly hibernating. Well, up north they are, but male bears tend to sleep a little while, then get up. And I have an example of that next.
Male bears go to bed and stay till spring.
Well, both males and females.
Yeah, we don't have male bears out there wandering about in the middle of winter.
So anyway,
if that's a female bear, that's a huge female bear. And notice how she was eating the salt treated lumber.
Yeah, I saw that. Well, this was a cool one because this guy got this cam. And I don't know if this is and this is actually a male bear or a bear. May not be a male, but this is actually a black bear coming out of a den hole at the end of the edge of winter. Now, this could be a male again coming out. Our males come out and feed a little bit, and then they'll go back in the hole or they'll go somewhere and sleep. They don't truly hibernate. The females tend to find a hollow tree, get in it, and that's where they either have their young or have their young with them, and they'll sleep through the winter. But males, our boars, don't do that. So look at this guy. He's got to stretch and he's got to, work his muscles and get woke up before he goes out on the town. I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was worth putting in here. This is not, again, he did this live, obviously, but he wasn't showing it live. He just showed it after the fact. But I still thought it was worth putting in here. And that's a pretty good, from that angle, that's a pretty healthy looking bear. Look how shiny that back coat is.
Yeah.
And here he is at night.
And so when I was doing bear biology work in Arizona, we would have years where even in Arizona, the bears hibernate, and even in the desert. But if the females did not have cubs, sometimes we'd go in and check the dens to see, and sometimes they weren't asleep.
Yeah, it's
and and you'd get guys laughing at you because your little feet were like flapping back and forth while you were trying to get out of the hole.
Oh, did they think that was funny? Did they?
Yeah, I had a female bear that like looked at me and she started popping her teeth.
Oh, boy.
And I started backing up, and she was down in a groundhog hole, basically, about that. Not very big. I didn't think it was very big.
It's amazing what they can get into.
She squeezed over the top of me and ran, and they said, your little feet started to look like you were swimming. And then the bear popped out over top of you. She run right over, never left a mark on me. Thank God.
She came over you.
Oh yeah, right. And there wasn't room for me to get in the hole, let alone me and her both. But she made it out. That'll wake you up in the morning, right there.
Yes.
And they just laughed and laughed.
I found another one last night. I really wanted to show you this one. And watch me not be able to find it this morning because I thought I'd saved it, but I may not have.
It's Itchy Bear.
There was
That looks like that same ridge we were on in Tennessee.
I thought so too.
I mean, it literally looks just like that country.
Mm-hmm. I've hunted in a lot of woods that look like that.
Where's that? Where's this one at?
I'm not sure. That's done. This one was done by a guy, bow hunter.
Oh,
it's in Minnesota, believe it or not.
Oh yeah, they got tons of bears. Kamikazes.
Yeah. Well, crap. Oh, there it is. There it is. Check this out. Now, this is again was not being shown live. This is recorded, but it's still worth noting. Now, here's a tree that the animal. That's a pine that they're paying some attention to. Can you guys see that?
Yeah.
And just watch how many different bears. Just for a minute, we'll watch this one. Watch how many different bears. And that's a healthy big bear, black there. Look how buffed up he looks. Or actually, that looks like a fall shot to me because that bear's ready. Looks like he's ready to hit the den for a little while. Here goes more. It amazes me how many bears walk by this tree over a course of how long he had this camera out.
Wonder if he's got a bait there.
I don't know, maybe, but he said a lot of bear. He found this tree because he figured out the bears were using it to scent, as a scent post, and marking that tree. And he started watching it, and it must be every bear in the county. See how skinny that one is? That's a different bear.
Yeah.
And there's two bears.
There's two bears right there.
I don't know if that could be two young males. It could be two.
They like that tree.
They do like that tree. Oh, that feels so good.
I could do that right now myself.
I like this one. Check out the two cinnamon. She's got 4 cubs.
4 cubs.
And 3 of them are cinnamons.
Huh? So this is out west somewhere.
No, I think it's in Minnesota or someplace. It's back east, I think. But it's probably let me look. Let me see.
The cinnamon bears?
Well, we've got cinnamons here.
Do you?
Yeah, occasionally. I'm not sure where it's at.
We don't have a lot of black bears. Almost all of ours are chocolates or cinnamons or blondes, or every now and again we see a actual black bear. But
we had a when I was in New Mexico the first time, we had a cinnamon bear run through camp.
Yeah.
One night. And somebody said that must be why they call that place. Well, it's Cimarron City, not Cinnamon City, but Well, I thought this told where it was. Oh, wait a minute. Maybe it does.
There is no more name. Cimarron. Name that movie.
What was it?
I said his name was Cimarron. And what's your last name, boy? There is no more name. I am a mistake of nature.
No, what is that?
John Wayne's The Cowboys.
Oh, The Cowboy. That's a movie I've not watched as often. I thought cinnamon bears were just a different coat of brown bear. They're a different color of black bear, Tina. Black bears have the widest color range of any of the bear species that I'm aware of, and they can be black, they can be blue bears and you get far enough north in Alaska, and I don't know how common these are anymore, but in fact, that some people call those Amodia bears or something like that now, but they get kind of a blue tint like
Commode.
there. Yeah, what you said.
Kermode. Commode.
And
yeah, they come in the contiguous United States. They come in black, cinnamon, chocolate, and blonde. And they're all black bears. He's in Minnesota and works for Bear Hunting Magazine.
Oh, okay. Well, this is another one.
Also feeding deer.
Who is feeding a lot of this guy. I don't know what the deal is here, but this is in. I think this is also this is in Maine, and this guy, these people have a farm up there, obviously, and they put out. And this is a live cam shot right now. This is what's happening right now. And it's 27 degrees Fahrenheit. Wind speed is 5 miles per hour. It's in Brownville, Maine. And they're eating oats, apples, and acorns. And they put this out about 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And they do this every day, and they go through several hundred pounds of food a day. And it was interesting at night because you see a lot of deer there, of course, after it gets dark. But you see a lot of interactions and stuff. And I was wondering if they're doing that
to spread chronic wasting disease.
Well, that's a good point.
That's exactly what they're getting ready to do.
But I wondered if they're trying to feed deer that, would be holed up in a tree yard somewhere, or what do they call it?
Yeah, I'm sure they're supposed to be in a yard.
Yeah, where they, starve to death and whatnot. So this guy probably thinks he's doing them a favor. And chronic wasting disease is not as bad back here, but that would be a way to spread it for sure.
They are not.
They are not what? Who says that?
Tina.
What is she telling you they're not? Gonna die or
spreading CWD? And they might not have it in Maine.
And they might, well, I bet they do. I mean, we have it down here, but not anything like you do out west. But it has been found. And but I don't know how
that deer on the left is a buck deer.
Yeah, it looks like he's got some little buttons.
But he's dropped shed antlers.
Well, yesterday or last night, I saw a big buck in here, and he still had antlers.
And then I saw another one. That gal's fixing to stand up on her hind legs and show him what for if he gets too
frisky.
It's funny how it's like reaching under the feeder.
Well, they've got this bunch has got several different ones. And here's a See, there's a nice buck in that top one. And these are the same places, but they're different angles of their cameras. And there's a camera box right there. And these are the two deer. If you can see, the first one's on the right here. That's the ones we were looking at out of this camera.
Oh, got it.
So that's what a little bit wider picture of the yard that they've created. There's a deer off in the bushes over there. Looks like. So they've got what they call a close view and a far view. And I have really mixed feelings about this. He said he does feed up to, this says he feeds up to 600 pounds per day of native oats. I wonder where he's getting so-called native oats. They feed daily and 8 to 9 a.m. Okay. I thought he was feeding them day and night there for a minute. Huh. He stopped feeding them around April. Some of the deer have been there for up to 10 years. I've seen a couple of pictures and maybe even a night shot the other day where he had this place was really full of deer. They were putting on the groceries. I think he's got maybe one more there. I don't know. I have mixed feelings about this kind of thing. And this is another example, Mark, of what you have run into. People see this and then they want to know why you guys can't do that.
Right.
And all those antelope and deer that are dying out there.
When we have like 100,000 square miles of winter range. That's why we can't do that.
Well, he's putting out 400 to 600 pounds of food for this group.
That little batch of deer.
That little batch of deer in this one area, and you guys would have to put out thousands of pounds of food around the state to do something like that. It's just
a day,
and it's just not feasible. You can't do it. And like you said, if you ask them, well, how am I supposed to do that? They're not going to have an answer for you. He's got this feeder too, but I don't know if there's any.
But I'm retired. I don't have to worry about that.
You don't have to worry about that. Okay, well, I'm not trying to worry about it. I was trying to see if that was a dove or a collared dove.
Well, here comes a deer to eat the bird feed.
Oh, there was some kind of critter just went in that box right there. Did you see that? I guess that's a squirrel, but it looks little.
Maybe it's a chipmunk. There's all kind of deer running around behind
here. It's a squirrel. Oh, I swear it looks like maybe it's a little red squirrel. It's far enough north that might be.
I can't see it big enough to.
It's gone now. Yeah. It took off across the snow.
Is that a mourning dove?
Yeah, two of them.
Huh.
I was trying to see if they were collared, and they don't appear to be collared dove.
That's what I was asking. We had, no, it looked like mourning doves.
Yeah. And they did have this, and this was a recorded. They had an owl great horn that got hit by a car or something in the brush, and they tried to rescue it, and they caught it and took it into a rehab center. And unfortunately, it was too far gone. And I guess they didn't have. I would. Well,
I just think about the hundreds of eagles and owls I picked up over the years, just like that. You better get a hold of those. That's the bird that can really hurt you. Golden eagles are worse, but these are bad guys. They get a hold of you. You've been gotten.
Anyway,
I had a friend that was carrying a golden eagle, had his feet taped up with duct tape, and somehow he worked one of them loose and grabbed him right up by his throat by his Carhartt coveralls.
Oh man.
And he was like, that's the closest I ever came to death.
He get a hold of an artery?
No, he didn't get a hold of him at all. He was lucky it was cold, and he had a lot of clothes on, and that's all that saved him, because that bird would have grabbed him right in the throat region.
So I saved this till the last part of my slide.
Oh, look.
A squirrel. I had to have some squirrel pictures in here. It's just something we do. And I don't know if she's got pups in there or not. I can't remember if I've seen under this particular squirrel or not. Last night she was tucked in there tight and wasn't moving.
I'd like to see her head.
Oh, yeah, I believe I do see pups.
Says squirrel babies are in there.
Yeah, I think so. She may not come up to let us see her head. She may stay up covering them up.
She's probably just going to let them nurse. And
yep. I don't know. And that was this. This website's got 2 or 3 different nests. I thought this one was hilarious. There were the squirrels just laying in there like they'd had a big drunk party or something. Now there's one buried up to its tail in the. I don't know what they got in there. Wood chips and maybe pulled cotton or something that they're using for nesting. In our wood duck boxes, we just always put, wood chips. And anyhow, this might be, no, that's not it. That's alive. Some of these, they've got a cup. Oh, here's a flying squirrel visit. Let's see if we can see a flying squirrel. Yep.
Quit, boys.
Look at them big old eyes. And that big wide tail. This squirrel is bent for flying. Flying's what it do. And one of these days, this squirrel is gonna fly all over you.
No, now I'm gonna have to go.
That's an insult. I'm sure it's time for everybody to get ready to go. I'm surprised they've got this many people left today. But anyway, that was kind of fun, I thought. I don't know. It wasn't as bad as car seats or seat belts.
That's cool. That's a cool discussion.
And I wanted to do some more, and I might, because there's other critters out there that are being watched and monitored these days.
Fired away.
Like killer whales, and I mean orcas are being monitored, and a lot of these migrating critters like great whales or some of the birds, they follow them all over the globe now because they can, and they can put a transmitter on them that's about yay big. And they can carry that on their bodies and not bother them a bit, and the satellites will pick it up and ricochet it all the way back to here and let me see it if I so choose, or if I'm the guy working the project or something. It's it did, Tina, didn't it? It looked like stuffing out of a dog toy. No, Carol, since it's on a webcam, which is subject to today's stream, it's an actual squirrel. Yeah, Kay's been watching the orcas. But anyway, I just thought that was neat. And like I said, I'm fascinated by the technology, that the things that we can do today that just in my short career weren't possible. I mean, Mark and I have talked about it, and I think I've mentioned it in here. The guy I worked with and one of my mentors working at TVA was doing wood duck research back in what was that for?
Kay's wondering if she should put her hummingbird feeders up.
Normally, I'd say it's still too early, but
well, I don't know what the temperature is, huh?
Unless she's seeing them around her house already.
If they're there, it won't hurt anything to put them up.
Anyway, he was putting radio collars on the backs of ducks, and they were using surgical elastic, and they were putting it around the base of their wings, and the transmitter on their back was that big, and that was not, and that just emitted a signal. It wasn't sending a video picture or GPS data or anything like that back to his project, and the thing and he killed a couple of ducks that way, just trying to learn how to put the transmitters on them. And once they got that part figured, but that was kind of the way things were going not that long ago. That's the technology they were working with. So
yeah, the transmitters I put on turkeys were heck that big.
Yeah, that's
and they were in a stainless steel box with a big long antenna, and you put them in a backpack configuration with bungee cord around their wings, or little like 1/4-inch bungee material, and hope that they could fly when you released them. And I mean,
hope they could fly. Yeah,
seriously, it was nobody knew anything about it.
I know.
Or not very many people did, and then we were sewing little lighter weight transmitters to the central tail feathers on falcons, and those worked really well. But now you can get transmitters that are like a couple of grams that do the same thing.
And more. I mean, they may transmit to a GPS. They may do. I mean, that's the thing. It's changed so much, and it's just amazing. I mean,
that little micro transmitters, you can literally do surgery and sew into an animal.
Yeah. Were you involved? You didn't put any transmitters and snakes with anybody you worked with, did you?
With Burkett.
Yeah, the little, and they're kind of.
We were doing. You just do a little incision and slip that inside, stitch it up, and away they go.
Were you able to monitor them?
They don't have much range, though.
Right. And some of those back then, or just before that, somehow could record some data where they've moved around and stuff, but you had to take it back out in order to download it.
Yeah.
To actually get it out where you could use it and look at it. So, I mean, it's come a long, long way since then. So anyway, I'll figure out something for next week. Hopefully it'll be half as interesting. And then if you guys, the ones of you who are interested, should be here Thursday night. And soon I'm going to have James Stanley on again on Thursday night. I think that's his best night to come over. And we're going to talk about living in Russia and that sort of thing in Thailand. He's done a lot of that. I think we might have already talked about Russia, but he hadn't talked about Thailand. Who's Elton? Elton who? Rhonda. So many improvements, Carol says. It's kind of like how people can get their dogs chipped yeah, it is, Carol. I mean, that's great technology too, I think. That's how we knew where Reggie was supposed to be, and we found out the owners could care less. And
those chips are just like an internal transmitter.
They're little bitty tiny.
Just like we call those pit tags. We've been using them on critters forever, on wildlife critters.
I don't know his last name. He hurts animals when they start hunting humans. Oh, he hunts animals when they start hunting humans, etc. for the government. I'm not sure if I do or not. Reggie's doing great, Tina. He's moved right in. I haven't had I need to get a picture of him. Last time I talked to I can't remember her name. God, I can't remember nothing today. She said his hair was slow to grow out, but other than that, he's just moving right along. He went after a tiger a couple of weeks ago, but a 14-year-old girl got him when he was hunting her little brother. So a 14-year-old girl got the tiger. I bet she's queen of everything. I'll have to look that up. Carol, or not Carol, but Rhonda. Is he on the internet just as that? The government hunters that I know about here are mostly hunting hogs. Of course, we don't have, well, they might hunt a bear occasionally if they have to, but usually they're hunting hogs like in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park after dark. And nobody knows they're in there. And they go in and try to get rid of the population of invasive porkies we have in there. In case anybody was wondering, Brenda says, I'm still here. Does that mean you took a nap? I had a question for you a while ago and you didn't answer.
Yeah, we were all asking.
What would Brenda love? Now that she's in here, I don't know if that's true. Tina's messing with her if that's true. That's what happens when you don't pay attention. People talk about you. Or you get jobs. When I was at work, that was the thing. The day you didn't show up for a meeting was the day they assigned you a big project. All right, guys, it's way past quitting time here. Wow, this went long.
I'm going to eat.
All right, you go to eat, brother, and I'll talk to you later.
All right, see y'all later.
And the rest of you, thanks for coming in today, and I really appreciate you being here, of course, as always. And the interaction and conversation's been good. Take some of those links and go out and find you some cool websites to look at. They're out there, and some way cooler than the ones I found. But if the Eagle cams that I put in there from that group out in Big Bear Valley, check those out at night because they're really, I think, interesting when the weather's bad, and just to see how they cope with the weather and to see how they survive it and put their heads down and just, live through it. I showed Brenda the other night the eagles it was blowing a blizzard, and she was on the nest and would just basically face into the wind, close her eyes and just take it, and it would just blow over her like an airfoil in a way. And she had a fair bit of snow on her the last time I looked. All right, Carol, you have a good day. Tina, you too, Kay. Thank you for being here. Rhonda, I really appreciate you coming in this morning. Hopefully this won't mess you up tonight if you have to work. Maybe you've got the day off. And she's doing aquatic stuff. What did Brenda say? What's she been doing? She may have had her hand or her head down in that aquarium. That's very true. All right, guys. Thank you. Again, good Lord's will and the creek don't rise. I'll be back here again next week and we'll figure out something to talk about. See you later. Bye-bye. Oh, yeah, you've been telling me your dog was keeping you up, wasn't it, Rhonda? See you guys.